Hello, good morning. Welcome to week three of Bake Along with Lisa. And this morning we are baking yummy chocolate brownies. So to start with, we can get this on the go because it will take a little while to melt. I've realised I've just whacked that everywhere, so that's grand. You want a saucepan with probably about an inch of water in the bottom. You want a nice mixing bowl, which you don't want to be wet. So you want it to basically sit in your saucepan without touching the water. If it touches the water, it's going to burn your chocolate. You don't want that. So in here we've got 200 grams of dark chocolate and 175 grams of unsalted butter. So I tend to put, I don't know whether this is the right way, but I tend to put the butter at the bottom because it seems to take longer to melt, and then put the chocolate on the top, melts quicker. Then you find that everything kind of melts at the same pace. But as I say, you don't want the water to touch the bottom because it will burn your chocolate. Nobody wants burnt chocolate. So popping it on the hob, you basically want to get the water to a simmer. So as soon as that starts simmering, I'll turn it down. It doesn't like that ring. So let's move that one. There we go. That was me. Error. Never mind. Right, so that's sorted. So while we kind of leave that to do its thing, we can come over and sort out the rest of our ingredients. Now, I have pre-measured mine, and I realised why this morning, because I make an awful lot of mess when I measure out my ingredients. I didn't realise. So I've done that, so I've cleared up. It now looks nice. But you need three medium eggs in a bowl. Not necessarily in a bowl. 130 grams of plain flour, which we will sieve into our mixture a bit later. And 325 grams of caster sugar. So that's all nicely laid out. I've also got my brownie pan. Now if you haven't got a brownie pan, just anything rectangular will be fine. It's about, I think it's just over 33 centimetres long by about 20 centimetres wide. So yeah, anything this sort of size will work absolutely fine. Now today we don't need to grease our tin, we just need to line it. Now I tend to line it so that I've got a bit of excess greaseproof paper that kind of hangs over the side, just because it makes it easier once the brownie is cool to lift it out of the tray. I find if you just kind of line the bottom, you then struggle to get it out. It's all nice and flaky on the top once it's finished, and if you then turn it out onto a wire rack, you just obliterate the nice flakiness. So I tend to get my piece of greaseproof, roughly kind of work out how long it needs to be, cut at that point, all the way along. Just going to check on my water. So that's nicely bubbling away, as you can see. Get the camera in there. So I'm going to turn that down. Turn that down a little bit and just kind of leave that to it. We'll come back to it and give it a stir in a minute. Just pop that away. So as I say, I tend to roughly measure out how long it needs to be. Push it all the way in and kind of fold and crease it over the sides. Just find it makes it an awful lot easier when you actually come to getting it out afterwards. So what I've learned in the past is if you don't do these little creases down the edge, in a fan assisted oven, the fan actually blows the paper around. So I've had it before where I've put brownies in the oven, I've come back to them and the paper is just blown straight into the middle and is stuck to the top of the brownie. Well, that's no good for anyone. So yeah, I tend to fold it. Sometimes what I'll try and do is, as I put it onto the oven shelf, I'll try and make sure that the bits of paper are underneath, just as an extra precaution. But as I say, we don't need to grease it, just need to put the paper in and line it, and then put that to one side. So while our chocolate is melting, I'm just going to find my spatula. I'm just going to put the oven on. So we want the oven at 150. If you're a fan assisted oven, you want 150. If you're non-fan assisted, you want 170. So I'm just going to check on my chocolate and see how my chocolate and my butter is doing. So that's melting away nicely. So you literally just want to get it to the point where it's just fully liquid. So that's nicely doing its thing. Just turn it down another one, I think. Okay, so next what I tend to do is get out a nice clean tea towel, because when you take your bowl off your bain-marie, that's what it's called, bain-marie. I did actually look up this week what bain-marie meant, and although it's French, it does have Latin origins, but it basically equates to Mary's bath. Very odd, but apparently it was a lady called Mary who is classed as the founder of the bain-marie. But all it means is a water bath. So you effectively are using the water and the heat from the water to melt things, rather than chuck it in a microwave, or lots of people use water baths. You'll see them on MasterChef when they cook fish and things in vacuum packed. But that's effectively what it means. So as you can see, the butter's melted, or is melting, and the chocolate is doing well. So that's doing nicely as well. So it's all just coming together, just ever so nicely, which is grand. But obviously when you take your bowl off, it's slightly wet underneath. So I normally put it on a tea towel. One, so the worktop doesn't get wet. Two, it adds a bit of stability, so when you're mixing away, the bowl doesn't kind of slide around. You can get a proper grip on it. So that is why I use a tea towel. So while we just wait a couple of minutes for that to carry on melting, I hope that you guys are all doing okay in this lovely lockdown. I will be here doing this every Friday while we are still confined to our homes, purely because, one, it's helping keep me sane and giving me something to do, and I've really enjoyed sharing some of my baking knowledge with other people. It's been quite nice. The kids, to see everybody's pictures of people making fork biscuits last week was really lovely. So many people gave it a go. I've had so many messages, so that's really nice. Hopefully people will get involved with chocolate brownies. Please tag me in any brownies that you make, either today or later in the week. Let's say we're still melting away, but getting there. The good thing about these brownies, as I said in my initial post, these are just going to make plain, ordinary brownies, but brownies are amazing. You can do so much with them. You can literally tailor this recipe to whatever you want. If you want to make them chocolate orange, chuck in some orange zest. And also, before you chuck them in the oven, break up some bits of Terry's chocolate orange and sprinkle them over the top. Stuart's nodding, he's wishing that I did that this week, but no, he's just got to content himself with normal chocolate brownies. We actually ordered some vanilla ice cream with our food shop this week, So we're going to have these later, nicely warmed up with a dollop of vanilla ice cream, and we're just going to pretend that we're in some restaurant somewhere and they've just served us a nice dessert, because frankly anything at the moment to kind of get by. I'm not ashamed to admit that I've had a rough week this week. I don't know why, but it's been a tough couple of days, so I'm quite glad to be here baking brownies. It seems like yeah, it's something I do to relax. It seems to de-stress me, so I like baking, but I can assure you these brownies won't hang around for long. If they are still here in a couple of days' time, then I would be amazed, because frankly things in this household are disappearing at a rate of knots at the moment. So yeah, every 48 hours I'm having to bake something new, because otherwise we run out. So yeah, as you can see, I think we're there. Everything's melted, so I'm just going to turn off the heat. Just to turn it off for a second, just double check, but you can see it's all nice and melted, nice and mixed together, all smooth, can't see any bits in it. Right, so be careful at this bit, don't burn your hands, because the steam will come out. That's when I whip it over and put it on. So just give it a double check. But as you can see, that looks amazing. It smells. Anyone who's baking this at the same time, you'll be able to agree, but it smells so good. I wish you could transport smell through Facebook. But yeah, so first things first, put the scissors away. You want to take your 325 grams of caster sugar, just dump it all in one go. Oh, it's a little bit's got stuck in the bowl, never mind. Let's get that out. So, just kind of nicely mix it all together. Don't worry, your mixture, you will find, will change consistency quite a few times through this process. So you just want to literally make sure that all the sugar is incorporated. Don't worry too much about mixing it for a long time. Just make sure that it's all incorporated. It will look slightly grainy, absolutely normal. Literally no issues with that whatsoever. I've just forgotten to get my sieve out, so that's fine. Grab that. Next up is to sieve in your 130 grams of plain flour. So in it goes. As I say, dead easy, really straightforward, because you literally just add everything in one go. You don't have to do it in parts. It's nice and easy. That's what we're all about. Nice, easy recipes to get yummy, delicious bakes at the end of it. Right, so that's all in. Give a little. Now I tend to use a spatula, just because I find it easier, but you can use a wooden spoon. You can literally use whatever you want. Be careful at this stage, because the flour tends to like going everywhere. So just kind of gently fold it in. You will feel, oh, see? Likes to go everywhere. The mixture gets quite stiff at this stage, don't worry. Just make sure that it's all kind of mixed in. This is what it should be like. It becomes a bit like a dough. So yeah, let's get rid of that bit off there. Also, I find a spatula is easy to kind of scrape stuff off. But yeah, so this is what it should look like. It's kind of comes together, makes the side of the bowl nice and clean. But once you get to that stage, you're all ready for your eggs. Again, literally, they can all go in at once. One. Two. avoid any bits of shell, because that's not a good plan. I don't think I got a bit. We'll see in a minute. I did. Never mind. Right. So if you do, like I've just done, get a bit of shell in your mixture. I just use a teaspoon to just kind of gently fish it out. So I find it comes out better with a teaspoon. I used to try and fish it out with my finger, and I never used to have much luck. But then one of my mum's friends said, why don't you use a teaspoon? Ever since then, it's been absolutely great. So I tend to use my spatula just to break up the egg yolks. Just it then mixes in a bit better. And then you just want to gently stir, and the mixture will kind of loosen up. And then once all the eggs kind of mixed in, then you can give it a really good stir so it's all nice and thick and smooth, because at the moment it doesn't look very appetizing, it doesn't look very smooth, so you kind of just keep working with it, keep going, and it will, I promise you, all come together. Just give it a really good again, this is where you use your arm muscles. So you kind of get to this point where you can see it's all thick, it's all smooth, it's all nicely dollops off the spoon. So yeah, just keep going, keep working with it until you kind of get it to that point. I'm just gonna scrape off my spoon, make sure it's all mixed in. That. So that's it. That's kind of your basic brownies. So as I say, there's not the longest bit, is the bit of melting the chocolate and the butter, other than that. So then just pour it into your tin. Nicely into the middle. I'm already looking forward to eating these. Right, so one of the worst things that I hate is people that just waste mixture. So I always make sure that my bowl is lovely and clean and that nothing goes to waste. You don't want to spend time making something to then not use half of it. Right, then just use the back of your spatula or back of a spoon, just a dessert spoon, just to kind of gently tease it out to the edges. Just gently make sure that you get it into all the edges. As I say, if you wanted to add, before this stage, if you wanted to add chocolate chips to it, you can do bits of chocolate. If you kind of want to turn it into Rocky Road, you can add bits of biscuit, you can add marshmallows on the top. So many different things that you can do with it. As I say, just make sure that it goes all the way out to the edges and all the way out to the corners. Absolutely beautiful. Right, so this is going to go in our oven now for half an hour. So start with 30 minutes. Effectively what you're looking for is it to have a nice flaky top. The best brownies are ones that are slightly hard on the outside but really chewy and soft in the middle. So if the outside looks like it's starting to go hard, take it out. Take it out at that stage, because otherwise it's starting to burn around the edges and it will turn cakey rather than brownie. You want that gooiness in the middle. So yeah, half an hour, check it. If you think it needs a bit longer, go up to 35, but don't go any longer than 35. And yes, if you didn't see earlier, it's 150 degrees C if it's a fan assisted, or 170 if it's non-fan assisted. So I will be back in half an hour, 35 minutes. If I'm not back, I will take pictures, but fingers crossed, I'll be back in half an hour. Hopefully see you then. Bye!